Today we're going to make Pataniscas de Bacalhau. Pataniscas de Bacalhau means salt cod fritters. So a fritter is basically a batter that has some like protein or fruit in it. So in this case we're going to put the Bacalhau obviously, but it also could have like apple fritters made with apple. But you make a batter, you put in the Bacalhau and you deep fry it. It's a pretty simple dish. Pataniscas de Bacalhau was popularized in an area they call Extremadura. Extremadura means land's end. Back in the 1400s, the Europeans thought that was the end of the world, that part of Europe. And that area encompasses Lisbon, Cascais, which is an area kind of like Newport Beach in California, just beautiful yacht marinas, very expensive area to live in. It also includes Sintra, Cabo de Rocha, as far north as the town of Nazaré. That's the area with just huge beaches. They're just so wide. They get waves in the winter that are like 100 feet tall. I'm making about a half batch today, but again, the first step, you want to rehydrate your Bacalhau for at least 12 to 24 hours. All right, the second step after you rehydrated your Bacalhau is to cook it a little bit. And right now it's still fairly tough. You see how I cannot pull this apart. So we want to cook it in simmering water. This could take about 10 minutes. But basically what you're looking for is after 8 or 10 minutes, go in there with 2 forks, and if you could break it apart, it's ready to go. Also in this recipe, it's traditional to reserve some of this poaching water, let it cool off, and we're gonna add it to the batter if needed as we make it to give it a little more intensified flavor. Okay, as you can see, it's been about 7 minutes, and some of these thinner pieces I could start breaking apart. So that's kind of what you want. They're not quite there, even the thinner pieces. And the thicker piece, I still can't. I'm putting some decent force there and I can't. So it does look like this one, and again, every piece of Bacalhau could be a little different, but this one's probably gonna take at least 10 minutes. What I'll probably do is pull out the thinner pieces in about 3 or 4 minutes, and then after, as soon as I could break apart the thick piece, that'll come out, and reserve the water. All right, we have our shredded Bacalhau that's ready to go. It's cooled off a little bit. Eggs are cracked, parsley's chopped, flour's measured out. I have my reserved liquid that I poached the Bacalhau in. That is room temperature now. And now I just need to, the full recipe gets about half an onion, so this is a half a recipe, so I'm gonna chop up about a quarter onion, very finely diced. I always have my recipes in the description area of YouTube under each video. Also on my website, justcookwithmichael.com, you can find all the recipes. We have all our ingredients ready. My oil is getting hot on the stove. You want to get that to about 360 to 370 degrees Fahrenheit. I put in my eggs. I'm going to put in a little black pepper. Nothing like fresh black pepper. Just put that to your own taste. The onions could go in there. Chopped Italian parsley, or also known as flat leaf parsley. My flour, and then we just want to combine that. Whenever working with Bacalhau, you really want to taste a lot, all cooking, but especially because Bacalhau can be pretty salty, so that's not bad. So this has no salt at all. That is good on its own, so which is great because a lot of times that could be a little salty. So now is where you use this poaching water to just get it to be a batter, a thick batter consistency. And right now you can see it's not a batter. So we'll add a little bit at a time until that comes together. And that's about all I needed. See how it's coming off the spoon? It's still fairly thick, you know, almost like a really thick pancake batter. The baking powder is optional. Baking powder, you know, releases some carbon dioxide and allows the batter to be a little lighter. That's what makes pancakes rise. So you either could put a little bit of baking powder or not. Put in our Bacalhau. It looks like it needs a little more poaching liquid. Again, sometimes it takes just a little bit for the flour to absorb all the moisture. So I'll put in about another tablespoon. And again, this is what I'm looking for. I want it to come off the spatula, or if you're using a spoon, because you're going to put it in the oil like this and let it fry up. 360, 365, 367. It's just about right. Okay, because the oil temperature is going to drop as soon as we put this cold batter in there. And if you don't have a thermometer, it should start bubbling up like that as soon as you drop it in the oil. If it doesn't, your oil is not hot enough. Another trick I should have told you is to go ahead and just fry up one of them or two of them and let them cool down a little bit and taste it, and then adjust if necessary, because at this point you still could add more salt into this mixture. You could add more pepper, you could add more parsley. Okay, these are just about done. It's been about 3 minutes. And you can see the oil temperature has dropped to about 350. So that's pretty common whenever introducing cold batter to a hot oil. If you're sort of unsure, there's nothing wrong. Whenever cooking, cut it right in half, and it should look done. You shouldn't see any liquid egg in there, and that looks, it smells so good. These are, I think, a beautiful golden color after about 3.5 minutes. I tried one, I wish you could smell it. These are pretty simple, and say if you're making one of my other bacalhau dishes like Zé de Pipo or Gomes de Sa, you could reserve just a little bit on the side and make these as an appetizer for your party. But anyway, give this a try. Go cook with someone you love.